Good morning. These are your stories from the last week of November 2020. The first one, you might have seen that GM indicated they have some pretty significant improvements in their Ultium battery, driving long-term range from 400 miles to about 450. They've also announced they're going to electrify 30 models by 2025, up from 2022, and they're increasing their EV budgets by about another 30%. So some pretty big, significant steps there. One thing I've found owning an electric vehicle with really poor dealership support, one person who knew how to sell the car and nobody who knew how to fix a very small glitch for 2 days, it was a simple time of use issue that precluded my car from being charged, and they didn't even know about it. At any rate, this is common across the industry. Sierra Club announced last year in a study that 10% of EVs on lots weren't even fully charged enough to take for a test drive. That's how poor the support is. GM aims to change that. They're starting after the Hummer. The next EV that's all electric is going to be the Cadillac Lyriq. And they recently put down an ultimatum to their dealers, which is basically my way or the highway. We know, they said, you might have to spend up to a couple $100,000 in tools and infrastructure such as charging stations. If you don't want to get on board, we'll pay you up to $500,000 to get out. So they basically have to decide by today, November 30th, which way they're going to go. Are they going to support the brand, or are they going to leave Cadillac, which is going electric? Turning to Asia, completely different note. Japan recently initiated its first tender for fixed bottom offshore wind. It's actually the second tender in the country. The first was for floating wind for 21 megawatts. But this one's going to be fixed bottoms, monopiles or jackets on the ground. And but ultimately, they have a 10 gigawatt target by 2030. Most of that's going to end up being floating wind because they don't have much of a continental shelf to speak of. By 2030, we should see offshore wind being developed off the coast of California. Europe's already making big strides in that area with machines over 8 megawatts. They're already pushing into the floating configurations right now. So that's kind of interesting there. And then if you look at South Korea, Doosan Heavy Industries has signed a memorandum of understanding with Korea Southeast Power Company to develop 2 gigawatts of offshore wind farms there, including floating wind complexes. The two companies have also committed to working on developing a large 8 megawatt offshore turbine, and Doosan is jumping into green hydrogen with a demonstration project using wind power energy and an MOU with 10 companies in this green hydrogen production, storage, and utilization demonstration project. It won't be big. It's only going to generate 600 kilograms of hydrogen a day from 3 megawatts of wind power, but it's a pilot and it gets them in the right direction. And then finally, our last story has to do with modular nuclear reactors. So the biggest or the leading company in this country is NewScale. And they've had this deal with the members of the Utah Associated Municipal Power Systems, where the utilities, the munis, were going to be off-takers for this project. But now the costs have been climbing. So the price tag basically in 2018 was $4.2 billion. Now it's jumped up to $6.1 billion following some construction delays. A bunch of the members already took the off-ramp. So 8 of them left. 27 are still left. They're reevaluating their participation following a change in ownership and a change in financing. On the more positive side, NewScale said that they've actually increased the reactor power capacity from 720 to 924 megawatts. And they're doing this by making these less of load falling, which was going to involve injecting or pulling out the reactor rods to change the output. Now they're basically saying we're going to move out of load falling mode, and we actually, by doing so, we can increase the overall capacity of these plants, which, all things being equal, was good. But they still are dealing with these cost overruns, and these costs could eventually kill this entire initiative. They're targeting $60 a megawatt hour, and you're looking at wind and solar now coming in the mid-30s to 40s with 4 hours of storage, non-subsidized by 2023. So these folks in the modular nuclear space are going to have a tough row to hoe if they want to compete, as we see increasingly larger numbers of hybrid projects, solar and storage in particular, coming into the market in the next decade. Well, thanks for watching. We'll talk to you next week. Bye.